One of the things we haven't really talked about yet is using FM8 for percussive sounds rather than melodic sounds. So I thought now would be a good opportunity to do that. All the tracks in this song are instances of FM8, including the drums, and it's the drums that we're going to focus on in this video. Cool, so we're going to recreate these chunky synth drum sounds. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate our kick drum channel. I'm going to mute the original and solo the new one. And I'm going to go to FM8 and say File, New Sound. And we're going to be using two operators in this. We're going to be using E and F. And we're also going to be using operator X. First of all, I'm going to turn up F's level to 100, and I'm going to route E into F to about 50. That'll do. I'm going to leave them both on sine wave, but I'm going to change E's ratio to 13 and F's ratio to 2.4. So this is what we got so far. Doesn't sound very nice at the moment, it sounds like an alarm or something. But let's have a look at our envelopes. Now, the reason E is there is just to provide a very, very quick high frequency click at the start of our kick drum. So we're going to take the decay right down. And we're also going to take the decay right down with F, but that's going to sustain for a bit longer. Okay, now this is the crucial thing. We're going to change our pitch envelope so that that too is just a short, sharp decay. And we're going to turn our envelope amount up to about 60. E is still a bit too long. You see, you hear that? Kick drum's not just about bass frequencies. You want that all-important click. Because if I mute E, we've got our nice thump, but we haven't got any high-end click. That's a kick drum. Now to beef it up a little bit, we're going to route it into the saturator, and we're going to route the saturator to the output. Maybe turn down E's level a little bit. Cool, so that's a kick drum. Let's move on to our snare, shall we? Let's duplicate that, mute the original, solo the new one, and go new sound. Again, we're going to be using operators E and F and X as well, so I'm going to turn those on. I'm going to change F's level to 100, and I'm going to route E into F by 100. I'm also going to feed E back on itself by 91, and F by 15 or so. I'm also going to go ahead and change F's envelope so it's got a pretty sharp decay. And I'm going to give it a bit of a release as well. And I'm going to turn off sustain. I'm also going to give E a bit of a release. And I'm just going to take the sustain level down a little bit. Cool, that's what we got so far. Next, we're going to do the same thing with pitch as we did on our kick drum. Just complete decay and turn our envelope up. So you can see where it's going, but it's still a little bit weak and weedy. So I'm going to turn on operator X, route that through to the output, and I'm going to route operator F into operator X by about 70. That's a bit bigger, and I'm also going to turn up the noise level a bit on our operator X and give that a bit of a decay. And finally, on effect, I'm just going to add a shelving EQ just to cut some of the low end. Cool, so let's move on. Next up, we've got our synth tom, which is a big, beefy, chunky sound. I'm going to duplicate this track, mute the original, solo the new one, and I'm going to go File, New Sound. Okay, so our tom is kind of like a slightly more complex version of our kick drum. If I go to expert mode, we're actually going to be using 3 operators plus operator X. I'm going to change the level of operator F to 100. I'm going to route E into F by about 30. I'm going to route D into E by about 50 or 60. And I'm going to set D's ratio to 4.9. F's ratio to 3.47. And E's ratio I'm going to leave where it is. I'm also going to feed F back on itself at about 16. Now D is going to have a really, really sharp decay. F is going to have a pretty sharp decay as well, but not as sharp as D. And again, we're also going to do that thing with the pitch envelope. So I'm just going to make it a complete sharp drop, and I'm going to turn the level up to about 50. And I'm going to turn on operator X, route that through to the output, and route F into operator X as well. Operator D's click could do with being a bit tighter. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of reverb as well. So, big, fat, chunky synth tom. Let's move on to our hi-hat. Unsurprisingly, I'm going to duplicate that, mute the original, solo the new one, and new sound. Cool. I'm going to delete this routing because I'm going to route operator F into operator X. I'm going to change F's ratio to 14, and F is going to feed back on itself 100%. Starting to sound like a hi-hat already. I'm also going to turn up the level of our noise. I'm going to turn the cutoff of our noise right up as well. And I'm going to go on envelopes, and I'm going to link X and F and give them a really sharp decay. We're going to go to our pitch envelope and we're going to make that a really sharp decay as well. I'm going to turn the level of our envelope up to about 70. Finally, I'm going to stick in a shelving EQ just to cut all the lows and mids. Might add a little bit of reverb as well, actually. Cool. So there you have it, synthesized drums in FM8. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been helpful. In the next and final video, we're going to look at using FM8 to create some really devastating dubstep bass sounds. So check it out. I'll see you in a bit.